What is up, YouTube? My name is Jaiden Howland from Inside Sports, and today I'll be going over my first set of my 2022 NFL season predictions. This is the first episode, so make sure to leave a like and subscribe as I'll be releasing more content in the future. Today I'll be going over the AFC North, and in future episodes I'll be going over the rest. NFL fans across the country are really looking forward to this season, as I am, and I cannot wait to get started with these predictions. Obviously, with injuries and surprises, you never know what's going to happen in the NFL season. The Cincinnati Bengals were projected to win 5-6 games last season, and they ended up going to the Super Bowl. So these predictions could be really good or really bad over time. Starting off with the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are coming off an 8-9 season, which they had a lot of injuries. One of the most injured teams in the NFL, right below the Tennessee Titans, who actually finished number 1 in the AFC. The Baltimore Ravens lost star quarterback Lamar Jackson in the middle of the season. At the time he was injured, they were doing really well, leading the AFC, and unfortunately, they missed the playoffs when he didn't return the rest of the season. For the Ravens, they upgraded this offseason, signing Marcus Williams, safety from the Saints, along with drafting safety Kyle Hamilton, who was projected to go in the top 5 picks in the NFL draft, and they got him as a steal in the middle rounds. Alongside that, running back J.K. Dobbins, who showed a lot of flashes and at Ohio State, is projected to be the starter as he's coming back from an injury which kept him out the entire season. First of all, before I begin these predictions, I want to say thank you to PlayoffPredictors.com. It is the best website for predicting NFL games, as you can predict all 256 games throughout the season, plus the playoffs. And no, this is not an ad. I just really love the website. So, starting off, in Week 1, the Ravens take on the New York Jets. Although the Jets did get better in the offseason, I do think the Ravens will be able to easily win, especially since the Jets will still be getting adjusted. Then they host Miami, which, even though they just added Tyreek Hill, I do think the Dolphins will not be good enough to beat the Ravens that early into the season. And also the Ravens head to Foxborough, get another win against the Patriots, and they start 3-0. Although the Ravens are undefeated now, that doesn't last for long as the Buffalo Bills come to town and hand them their first loss of the season. After that, the Baltimore Ravens get a sign of relief as they defeat the Cincinnati Bengals, who they got swept by last season, of course, due to injuries. But in Week 6, the New York Giants come in and they upset. Even though the Giants aren't projected to do well, this is a trap game for the Baltimore Ravens. In Week 7, they take on the Cleveland Browns, who possibly could be without DeShaun Watson or could possibly just getting him back if he gets suspended 6 games. Even if that is DeShaun Watson's first game back, he won't be back to form as the Ravens will end up getting a good win there. When the Ravens head to Tampa Bay, they will be outmatched by a lot as they fall to 5-3. But in Week 9, after the trade deadline, the Ravens pick it back up with a win versus the New Orleans Saints, which is kind of a Marcus Williams revenge game. And then they sit at the bye at 6-3 in Week 10. The Ravens hope the second half of the season isn't decimated by injuries as they were last season. But don't worry, in Week 11 and 12, the Ravens will get 2 easy wins. Although the Panthers have Baker Mayfield, the Ravens are still a way better team, and the Jaguars are the Jaguars. In Week 13, a tough matchup as Russell Wilson and the Broncos head to town, but the Ravens will pick up a win there. Although the Steelers have lost Ben Roethlisberger and now have Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky, whoever starting at that time, the Steelers will still prove to be a tough matchup, especially with their defense, as the Ravens fall there. And in Week 15, assuming DeShaun Watson is back from suspension and fully returned, the Browns will get a win there. In Week 16 and 17, the Ravens will cap off with 2 wins, but fall to the Cincinnati Bengals to finish 11-6. Good enough for the crown in the division. If you're a Bengals fan right now, you got to be rejoicing. After a season where you were still in a rebuilding process and you make it to the Super Bowl, winning the division as well, and now you improve your offensive line in the offseason, what are you thinking here? Although the Bengals won't have as easy as a schedule as they did last year, they still remain viable Super Bowl contenders. In Week 1 against the Steelers, Mitchell Trubisky or Kenny Pickett, whoever is the starter, the quarterback will have a hard time playing against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. In week 2, they played the Dallas Cowboys with a really good offense and a really good defense. Although the Cowboys didn't do that much to improve in the offseason, the Bengals get a win there. In week 3, trap game as the New York Jets host the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Jets have had the Bengals number the past couple of years, and I see them doing it again, especially since, as I mentioned before, they have been improving. In week 4, though, the Bengals get back on track, defeating the Miami Dolphins and starting off the season 3-1. In week 5, they head to Baltimore and fall there, but they pick up another win in week 6 against the New Orleans Saints. In week 7, the Cincinnati Bengals easily take down the Atlanta Falcons, who might be one of the worst teams in the league, unless Marcus Mariota has a breakout season. In week 8, though, the Cleveland Browns, who surprisingly swept the Bengals last season. Granted, one of those games they were resting their starters. In week 9, Baker Mayfield plays a familiar foe as the Panthers come to Cincinnati, but the Cincinnati Bengals get a win there. And you got a tough challenge ahead, though, but you guys think you can make the playoffs still. Really confident team. Although they do fall to the Steelers in week 11 after that bye week, and they fall to the Tennessee Titans in week 12, and they fall to the Kansas City Chiefs in week 13. So now you're like, what's going on here? Don't worry, you come off with 3 straight wins, defeating the Cleveland Browns, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and New England Patriots. Now in week 17, you play a Monday Night Football game against the Buffalo Bills. That should be fun. But the Bills are a much better team as they take down the Cincinnati Bengals. Finally, the Bengals close off the season against the Ravens, and they finish 10-7. As a Bengals fan, you might see that as a disappointment, but considering a little bit tougher schedule, this is a pretty good record, and the team can be deadly in the playoffs once again. What an offseason for the Cleveland Browns. Most fans thought, alright, we're heading the season with Baker Mayfield. He wants a contract extension. Let's give it to him. Even though he was injured last year and he struggled, he still led them to the playoffs a couple years ago. But now, you're like, wait, what? As the Browns traded 3 first-round picks and signed DeShaun Watson to a $250 million guaranteed deal, now he has a suspension looming. So what do you feel about this season as a Browns fan? Well, again, since nothing's been confirmed yet how long his suspension will be, if he's getting suspension or not, I'm going to go as the rumor that he'll get 6 games, and I'm going to assume the starter is Jacoby Brissett, although they are looking at other options as well. In week 1, the Carolina Panthers and Baker Mayfield, a big revenge game there, as Jacoby Brissett cannot get it done in Carolina, as the Panthers surprisingly start 1-0, and the Browns fall to 0-1. In week 2, the Browns get back on track, defeating the New York Jets, but then fall to the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 3, but pick it up again against the Atlanta Falcons in week 4. My papa did say that he was hoping, as long as the Browns were 4-4, they could be a good playoff contender. Unfortunately, here I have them losing to the Chargers and Patriots. 2 tough games right there that the Browns will fall to. Then in week 7, when they get DeShaun Watson back, they will struggle still. He won't be as good as he normally is just because he hasn't played in a very long time, as they'll fall to Baltimore Ravens, but pick it back up again against the Cincinnati Bengals. And now you're sort of in the playoff hunt here as a Browns fan. The Browns, 3-4, get back to 4-4 after defeating Tua Tagovailoa, but they fall to 4-5, losing to the Bills, and 4-6, losing to the Buccaneers. 4-6, you still got a slight hope as the playoffs, as in week 13 they get a big win, a big crucial win versus the Houston Texans, but again they fall to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now the Browns pick up 2 more wins against the Baltimore Ravens and New Orleans Saints, an upset loss to the Washington Commanders, and they finish their season against the Pittsburgh Steelers by defeating them and finishing the season 8-9. The Browns have a whole bunch of talent on their team, but this DeShaun Watson suspension will be too much for them. Maybe next year, Browns fans. A lot of people are mixed on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, who will be in the Hall of Fame someday. But he wasn't exactly that great of a quarterback, actually one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL last season. So it's a wonder if they improved on quarterback, which I do think they do with Mitchell Trubisky. He did play not the best in Chicago, but he still got them to the playoffs multiple times. But starting out the season, the Cincinnati Bengals will defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the Steelers will pick up their first win against the New England Patriots. That would be considered an upset, considering the Patriots made the playoffs last year, and Mac Jones will look to have a really good sophomore season. In Week 3, the Steelers will actually start 2-1, defeating the Cleveland Browns, but fall to the New York Jets, which is giving me 2018 Steelers vibes as they lost to the Jets that year with Mason Rudolph as quarterback, and that kind of ended basically their playoff hopes. In Week 5, they do fall to the Buffalo Bills and then fall to the Buccaneers in Week 6. Week 7 doesn't help either as they fall to the Miami Dolphins, and in Week 8, they fall to the Philadelphia Eagles. So now you're thinking as a Steelers fan, that's not a very good record. Might as well just tank for the season. Well, Mike Tomlin does not like tanking at all. He's never finished with a losing record in the history of his coaching, and he's going to try to hold on to that as long as he can. In Week 10, the Steelers defeat the New Orleans Saints and get revenge on the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 11. They come back at 4-5. They do fall to 4-6 against the Colts, but then they pick up 4 straight wins against the Falcons, Ravens, Panthers, and Raiders. So now, as a Steeler fan, you're thinking, 8-7, we can possibly make the playoffs. But unfortunately, the Baltimore Ravens, they had the Baltimore, and they take a loss there. And then the Cleveland Browns come to town. And Browns fans, although they're not making the playoffs, they are probably really, really happy to see the Steelers get eliminated from the playoffs by the Cleveland Browns with DeShaun Watson. As the Steelers, for the first time in Mike Tomlin's career, finished with a losing record at 8-9. And a disappointing season in Pittsburgh, but a season that they could definitely have hopeful for the future, especially if they end up seeing Kenny Pickett and he plays well. For the AFC North predictions today, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys agree with me or disagree with me, let me know in the comments. These were pretty difficult to predict just because this division is a really interesting one, as there's a lot of drama and controversy going around, especially with how many games DeShaun Watson gets suspended, how will the Steelers look, and how will the Ravens look coming off the injuries, and will the Bengals be the same team as they were last year? I know a lot of Steelers fans, and those Steelers fans might not be very happy with me, but, you know, you gotta go with the truth. So it'll be interesting to see. This is my first out of 8 division predictions, and after that I'll be doing playoffs as well. Don't worry, we still got a lot of time left before football season to get all this in, and by the time it's over, it'll all be worth it, as NFL kickoff will be just right around the corner. I'm Jaiden Howland. Make sure to subscribe to Inside Sports for more content. Turn on the notification bell, especially if you want to see more of these videos. If you have any video suggestions, let me know, and have a great night.